That plain green tumbler in the back of your kitchen cabinet, the one you have poured orange juice into for 40 years, might be worth $10, or it might quietly be worth 3,000. These 10 pieces of old Depression glass have sold for real money, and by the end, I will show you the one nearly every American woman already owns without knowing it. Let's find out if it is sitting in your house tonight. Depression glass is the most ordinary treasure in the American home. Between 1929 and 1939, as the country came apart, more than 20 glassmakers stopped making fine etched crystal and started pressing cheap coloured tableware by machine, up to more than 1,000 pieces a day. It was so cheap it was given away. The Quaker Oats Company and other food distributors dropped a piece of glass into boxes of food to get you to buy. Theatres handed it out on dish night. That is exactly why it is in your mother's cabinet right now and your grandmother's before that. Here is the honest part, and I want you to hold on to it. Most of it is worth $10 or $20 because most of it was made by the millions. The fortune hides in the rare corners, one scarce colour, one uncommon shape, one pattern collectors happen to all want at once. If you were told your glass was junk, that was not carelessness on your part. Nobody ever taught you which corner you were holding. Tonight somebody will. Number 10, Royal Lace in cobalt blue. To most eyes, these are just heavy blue drinking glasses, the kind you would price at $1 a piece on a card table. Fair enough, they are not much to look at lined up in a cupboard. But turn one over and the story changes. Royal Lace was pressed by Hazel Atlas in the 1930s, and the cobalt is the colour collector's chase because most of it came in pink and green and the deep blue was the exception. A match set of 6 cobalt tumblers, undamaged, has sold for around $285. Not a fortune, I will not pretend it is, but not $1 a piece either. Do this tonight. Carry one to a bright window and look through the wall of the glass. Genuine cobalt runs the same rich blue clear through. A later painted imitation goes pale and streaky where the light hits the base. Melt that set down as scrap, or hand it to a yard sale shopper for coins, and you have given away a week of groceries. Number 9. Doric and pansy in ultramarine, a covered butter dish. Of all the humble things, it is a busy little pattern in an odd blue-green, exactly the sort of piece that gets shoved to the back of a shelf and forgotten. But the calendar makes this one rare. Jeanette Glass pressed Doric and pansy for only 2 years, 1937 and 1938, and then never again. That short run is the whole reason a genuine ultramarine covered butter dish has sold for around $475. Here is what most people miss. On a 2-year pattern, the lid is where the money is. Lids broke and got thrown out, so a matched lid and base together are far scarcer than either half alone. Set the 2 pieces on a kitchen scale and study the colour at a window. True ultramarine carries a deep blue-green, not the flat teal of a modern copy. A butter dish nobody wanted, quietly worth most of a month's electric bill. Number 8, Jadeite, that soft, opaque green kitchen glass. This is the valley of our list, and I will be straight with you. Most jadeite is not where the money is. A stack of Fire King restaurant plates from Anchor Hocking runs $15 to $50, and plenty of it tops out around $5. But here is the twist the market handed collectors. When Martha Stewart began setting her jadeite out on television in the 1990s, the rare forms woke up. A McKee column sugar canister that sold for about $75 a decade ago now trades past $1,000. A genuine Fire King ball jug can bring $200 to $400. Do this now. Turn the piece over and look for the raised Fire King or McKee mark. Then hold it up. Real vintage jadeite is dense and even, not the thin, too bright green of the reproductions Martha herself later licensed. The everyday plate is grocery money. The rare canister sitting right beside it is a car payment. Number 7. Mayfair in blue, a set of footed tumblers. On the shelf they look like nice water glasses and nothing more. That instinct makes sense. They are not loud. But Mayfair was pressed by Hocking, and the blue is the colour that empties a collector's wallet because far more Mayfair was made in pink than in that clear icy blue. A set of 6 blue-footed tumblers, matched and unchipped, sold for just under $720. Here is the part that matters. Condition is everything on Mayfair. 1 chip on 1 foot and the set stops being a set. Take them to a window in daylight and turn each one slowly. You are hunting for the flea bite nicks on the rims and feet that a seller swears are not there. 6 perfect glasses can quietly clear 700, 5 perfect and 1 chipped brings a fraction of that. People break up these sets without ever knowing they were the set. Number 6. Number 6. American Sweetheart in pink. It is a thin, pretty pattern, the kind your daughters would call fussy and dated. But look closer at the picture. American Sweetheart was made by the Macbeth Evans Glass Company of Charleroi, Pennsylvania. The firm Thomas Evans and George Macbeth founded in Pittsburgh, and the one Corning bought out in 1936. And it was produced only from 1930 to 1936. The flat plates and saucers are common and cheap. The pink water pitcher is the piece that almost never survived, and one in perfect condition sold for $895. Here is your test tonight. Hold the pitcher to a lamp. Genuine Macbeth Evans pink glows a warm, even rose and rings with a clear note when you tap it lightly with a fingernail. Run your finger around the spout and the handle joint where the damage hides. In 20 years of walking through estate sales, I have watched the cheap plate get saved for the shelf while the $800 pitcher gets filled with dish soap in the garage. Number 5. Before we get to the top 5, there is something about all of this that most people never stop to see. The pieces that quietly change hands for real money almost never look like money. They sit in donation piles and on thrift store shelves because the person holding them decided in about 2 seconds that old and coloured means worthless. But value in glass has almost nothing to do with whether it charms you. It lives in the maker's mark pressed into the base, the exact shade of the colour, the shape that happened to survive in small numbers, the mould seams that separate a 1930s original from a 1970s copy. Those are the tells I gathered into the Appraiser's playbook, a plain-spoken guide that walks you through the marks, the colours and the small physical checks that tell an ordinary cabinet piece from one worth hundreds, before you ever hand it to a dealer. It is linked below if you want it beside you at the cabinet. Now, back to the countdown. Number 5. And here the mood changes because from this point up, every piece I name is one that someone somewhere has learned to fake. Start with Adam in pink by Jeanette Glass, specifically the covered butter dish. A plain butter dish does not look like anything, but a genuine Adam pink butter, lid and base both right has sold for just under $1,250. And that price is exactly why the copies exist. Here is what nobody tells you at the table. The only reason a piece gets reproduced is that it became lucrative to reproduce it. The tell on Adam lives in the fit and the feel. Set the lid on the base. An original seats cleanly and the pattern lines up corner to corner. Then heft it. Reproductions almost always come out too heavy, the glass thick and lifeless where the 1930s original is crisp and light. $1,200 or a modern fake worth nothing, and the only thing between them is a 30-second inspection most sellers never bother to do. Number 4. Number 4. Parrot, also called Sylvan, made by the Federal Glass Company. This is where the numbers climb, and it is the reason I told you at the very start that a single piece could be worth thousands. Parrot was a short-lived pattern and certain forms barely exist today. The right combination, a rare pitcher, a hot plate, a particular tumbler has changed hands anywhere from several $100s up to around $3,500. Now, let me be honest, the way a real dealer should, that $3,500 is the top of a range, not a promise on every Parrot you find. Here is the tell. Look for the pair of birds facing each other among the palm fronds, moulded crisply into the glass, and check the seams. The scarce shapes are the hot plate and the pitcher, not the dinner plate everyone kept. And hold number 2 in the back of your mind. The piece I most want you to check tonight is still coming. Number 3. Number 3, the Mayfair cookie jar in blue, the pattern collectors call open rose. A cookie jar sounds like the least valuable thing in the kitchen. But a genuine blue open rose cookie jar carries a guide value between $1,500, $3,000 and up, and that is precisely why it is one of the most reproduced pieces in all of depression glass. Here is exactly how you tell the real one, and I want you to do this tonight. Pick up the lid and count the sides of the knob. An original Mayfair knob has 8 sides, the reproduction knob has 6, Then turn the base over and look for the mould ring, a faint raised circle the originals carry and the fakes usually miss. 8 sides and a mould ring, and you may very well be holding $2,000 or $3,000. 6 sides, and you are holding a modern cookie jar. The National Depression Glass Association, and every price guide Jean Florence ever wrote, has been trying to teach people that count for years. Number two, and this is the one that costs people the most because it is the most faked pattern there is, Cherry Blossom by Jeanette. It is everywhere, which is exactly the problem. For every genuine piece in the right colour and form that sits in that $200 to $3,000 range where the rare glass lives, there is a reproduction built to fool you, sometimes in cobalt and iridescent colours. Jeanette never once produced. Here is the single test that settles it, and it costs you nothing. Find the cherries in the pattern and look at the tiny bumps on each cherry. A real Jeanette cherry has exactly 2 bumps. The common reproduction has 3. The reproduction spotters like Barbara Mousey built whole books around that one difference. The fakes give themselves away with cherries that look squished and a branch that sits like a solid bar of glass instead of a real stem. 2 bumps, and the pattern is honest. 3 bumps, or a colour that feels too heavy and too new in your hand, and you are holding someone's tidy little forgery. Count the bumps before you believe a word any seller tells you. And number 1 is the piece I promised you at the very start, the one nearly all of you already own. Number one, and this is the piece nearly every one of you owns, the one I promised at the very start. Plain green depression glass, the tumbler, the plate, the little dish that has lived in your cabinet your whole life. Here is the myth I need to take from you tonight, because it costs people money in both directions. Somewhere you have heard that if green depression glass glows under a black light, that is the valuable kind. So people buy an ultraviolet light, shine it in the dark, and when a piece lights up in that electric neon green, they are sure they are rich. Now the truth, that glow means the glass contains uranium. Anywhere from 0.1% to 2% uranium oxide, baked in for colour back when no one thought twice about it. It is real, and it is genuinely lovely to see. But the glow is not the money. Most green depression glass was never uranium at all. It was coloured with cheap iron and chromium, and a glowing green tumbler still books at $10 to $20 like any other. What sets the price is what set every price on this list: the pattern, the colour, the rarity of the shape, and the maker's mark on the base, not the glow. So here is what I want you to actually do. Take that green glass to a lamp, turn it over, and read it like a page. The mark, the pattern, the form. That is the skill that runs backward through all 10 of these, from the cobalt tumbler to the faked cherries. The glass does not have to glow to be worth something. It has to be the right piece, and you cannot know that until you turn it over and look. So before you clear out a single shelf, before you let anyone tell you the coloured glass is just old dishes, before you accept the first offer a dealer slides across the table, turn every piece over and read the base. That is the whole lesson. With depression glass, the pattern and the rarity set the price, never the glow, and never how pretty it looks to a stranger. In 20 years, I have watched too many families hand away the one good piece along with the box of worthless ones, simply because nobody stopped to look. If this saved even one piece in your cabinet from that fate, tap the like button so it reaches another woman staring at her mother's glass, wondering what it is worth. Subscribe if you want to walk through your whole house this way, one drawer at a time. And tell me in the comments, what colour is the glass you inherited and who did it come from? I read every single one. Then go find that green tumbler tonight. Turn it over before anyone else gets the chance to.